Hello everyone, my name is Tina Scott and this is my Levels of Organization and Classification presentation. I did my presentation using Google Sites and I am doing my YouTube presentation using a nifty device called Loom. It is a Google app that I came across and I use this app and I have my students use this app. We're able to screen capture and share, and they post their links, of course, to their Google Drive and to Google Classroom. They don't need to use YouTube. However, I will be using YouTube for my presentation. Let us go ahead. We're going to hit present. I'm going to pull up my lovely screen here as it is loading. As it is loading, here is my title screen, the Levels of Organization and Classification. This is my project presentation for LTEC 5200. The introduction is, of course, the site was designed for the students of Carrollton Farmers Branch. It's based on the Carrollton Farmers Branch Understanding by Design and their 5E for the Levels of Organization and Classification learning objectives, as well as the Texas TECs. The problem for our district, or the problem that I have noticed, is that our sixth grade students do not have a great basis for the Levels of Organization and Classification. Combine this with they do not have background knowledge for the vocabulary. The vocabulary terms are all very brand new for them. It's very difficult. This is a very difficult concept to grasp and understand for students. Our vocabulary for them would be heterotrophic and autotrophic. They have no idea what that is. They don't have any background knowledge referring remotely to heterotrophic or autotrophic. Essentially, heterotrophic is organisms that hunt to eat. Autotrophic is organisms that create their own food, i.e. the plants, the shrubs, the flowers. Those are all autotrophic organisms. And then we have our heterotrophic organisms, which is me, you, animals, anything that has to hunt to eat. So we're going to move on. The audience, of course, as I mentioned before, is our sixth grade science students as well as our science teachers. They can also use this resource. I will be using this resource, of course, because I designed it, but it's also designed for my science team and other science teachers to help their students understand, but better understand the levels of organization and classification, as well as get that tricky vocabulary, because the unit does focus on vocabulary and uses those terms quite frequently throughout the unit. The purpose, once again, is to get the students to understand the levels of organization and classification of vocabulary, as well as be able to organize an organism into its proper category or proper domain and kingdom using its characteristics. So they're able to look at the characteristics. They're able to see this organism does not have a membrane-bound nucleus. The DNA is floating around on the inside, so it must be a prokaryotic cell, as opposed to a eukaryotic cell that has a membrane-bound nucleus and the DNA is inside that particular nucleus. We are eukaryotic cells, or we are eukaryotic organisms that have eukaryotic cells because we're plants, animals, protists. Those are eukaryotic. However, our bacteria, that is all prokaryotic. Course objectives. My course objectives for my site are based here. Identify the characteristics that are used to classify organisms into domains and kingdoms. Recognize the differences between the two major types of cells, or the two types of cells, prokaryotics and eukaryotes. And of course, take all that information and be able to classify an unknown organism, because we have those questions. Those questions are on the interim assessment. And of course, those questions are throughout the unit as well. And I want them to be successful. The more confident they are with the vocabulary, the better they are, the better they will perform, or better they are able to complete their unit. So of course we have our course objectives here. Our learning targets, each one of my sites has their own learning targets in the layout. So my layout here, the Google site is featured or centered, student-centered. Students are able to go through it at their own pace, or educators are also able to incorporate bits and parts of the site or come away with ideas to use within their own curriculum. The site is broken down into a series of pages, as you can see right up here. We have levels of organization, prokaryotic versus eukaryotic, domains, kingdoms, classification, and games. And of course, you have an About Me page. In case educators have any questions, they can easily send me a note and I'll be able to get back to them. I have my course modules here. As you go through, I can click on each one of these tabs and it will take me directly to the site. So let's go ahead. We've got a little time. Click on the picture. Let's go to our classification. As you see, it pulls up classification of living things. The module, each one of my module pages or each one of my pages contains a learning target and an essential question. The learning target tells the educator and the student what the focus is for this particular page. And then, of course, the essential question is something that they'll be able to answer after they've completed the activities. So here, as we can come through, I'm showing you I've got a Prezi that will open up into the Prezi, and I also have an Avid one-pager, which is accumulation of everything that they've learned. So this is our last tab. As you can see right here, this is our last tab, and this is our games review. So at the end of this particular, at the end of the site, or at the end of going through the pages, students should be able to create an Avid one-pager using Google Sites. They can use Google Sites, they can use Glockster for their presentation. They'll be able to list levels of organization for organisms. They'll be able to tell me the 6 kingdoms. They'll be able to identify what a prokaryotic, eukaryotic cell is, an autotrophic versus heterotrophic, and then they'll be able to write me a 3-sentence summary. I use Avid one-pagers quite a bit. It's a fun way that students can organize their notes, organize their knowledge on a page. It helps my audio-visual learners, and it taps into the students' artistic side. So let us go on back right here. And then here we go. We've got our course media. I just got through showing you a bit of course media with the Prezi. However, I have some more course media. The course media is used throughout this site. I have Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is a great educational tool that teachers can use. You can take any video that you've made and uploaded, or a video that you found on YouTube, and you're able to edit out commercials. If you don't need the entire 10-minute video, you need two minutes, you're able to edit it down to those 2 minutes. You're also able to embed questions that students must answer as they're going through taking notes. They must answer these before they can move on. So I have an Edpuzzle, and of course I have another Foursquare activity that students will be able to use to summarize what they've just seen. So I have my course media here. I have some more course media here. Right here, I have a Pear Deck. It's also a set of Google Slides that we can do together as a class or individually. It's a presentation, and embedded in the presentations are slides that students will answer after so many slides. A summary slide. What have you learned today? You have beginning activities. What do you think this presentation will be about? And you have ending activities. Summarize what you just learned. Pretend your friend is not here today and summarize what you just learned and send them a text. It's really fun. The students really get into this. I also have my Padlet. Padlet is basically a huge poster board where students can go and organize their thoughts. Educators can use it as discussion boards. And we can also post their best work. Right here, I have mine's posting riddles. I have a sample right here, and as students will come in, they'll be able to hit the plus sign and create their own riddle. We can go ahead. It'll take us to Padlet as Padlet is loading up. Here it is. Padlet is a great educational tool. I've used it quite a bit in my classrooms. I've also had it seen used in PD, where you go and you can answer questions, and the presenter can come back and answer your question directly. So the students will essentially come to this, the link opens, and they'll just hit right here. And then they're able to upload their Google slide. They can provide a link to their Google slide. Of course, they can take a picture. They can snap a picture of their project as well, and then upload this, and I will come through. They're able to answer all of able to answer theirs and their friends and provide an answer. So we're going to go right on back to this. And my last slide right here, we have levels of organization. This is our review games. I find review games quite handy for science. Competitive, my students are competitive, and competitiveness is the spice of life. Students are able to compete against each other with these games, and as in classrooms. So we play these games a variety of ways. I will have them compete against each other, and I will have classes compete against each other too. At the end of the day, there's small prizes and awards for those who do the best. And it also encourages students to become better and more proficient. I find I like playing games. I am a gamer, and I have some students that are gamers as well. Well, this is it. This is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to go to my site and hit the link and send me any questions that you have. Thank you, and have a nice day.